Okay, let's dive right in. Something huge is happening in the tech world right now. I mean, a real seismic shift. It's a change that's totally redefining what it even means to be a programmer anymore.
Now just imagine you wake up and see this headline. It's a bit of a bombshell, right? Spotify's top engineers haven't written a single line of code since December 2025. I mean, this is hypothetical, of course, but it points to a trend that is very, very real. A huge tech company just stops coding. What does that even mean for the industry?
And that brings us to the big, scary question, doesn't it? If the people who are literally paid to write code aren't writing code anymore, is the job of a programmer basically over? Well, the answer is way more complicated and honestly a lot more exciting than a simple yes or no. Okay, get this. Picture it. You're on the train, heading into work, and a bug report pops up. So you just type a quick message into Slack right from your phone, and by the time you even walk into the office, there's a fully compiled, ready-to-test app just waiting for you. This isn't science fiction, folks. In this Spotify scenario, this is the new workflow. It's pretty wild. And the results of working this way, they're just staggering. We're talking about shipping over 50 new features in a single year. 50. I mean, think about that pace of innovation. That's a speed that would have been totally impossible just a little while ago. So, the natural question is, how on earth do they do it? Well, the magic really comes down to this incredible 1-2 punch, a system called Honk and an AI named Claude. Let's break down how this dynamic duo actually works. Okay, here's a great way to think about it. Imagine Claude is the hand. It's the part that's actually writing out the lines of code. But Honk is the nervous system. It's the brain, the orchestrator that takes what Claude wrote and then it does all the hard work. It tests it, compiles it, and deploys it. One does the writing, the other makes it all happen.
So you see, it's this incredibly smooth process. The engineer just sends a prompt in Slack. Step 2, Claude writes the code. Step 3, Honk does all the heavy lifting, the testing, the compiling. And finally, step 4, a ready-to-go app lands right back with the engineer. It completely gets rid of those classic excuses like, well, I can't run the code on my machine. That's just gone.
Now this right here, this is Spotify's secret weapon. See, they're not just using some generic off-the-shelf AI that anyone can get. No. They've fine-tuned Claude on their own massive, unique library of internal code. What that does is it makes their AI a hyper-specialist, an expert in their systems. That's a huge advantage.
Okay, so this all brings us back to the human in the loop. If the AI is cranking out all the code, what's left for the developers to do? Well, they're becoming masters of a totally new skill. You could even call it a new kind of art form, prompt engineering.
So what is prompt engineering exactly? At its core, it's the art of talking to an AI. It's about writing instructions, prompts, that are so incredibly clear, so precise, and packed with so much context that the AI has no choice but to give you exactly what you're asking for.
And, a really great prompt, it's like a recipe. It's got key ingredients. You've got to have clarity and precision, right? You need to provide context, the background story. You need to list out the technical constraints, what tools to use. It helps to give examples. And, super important, you have to be ready to iterate and refine it. You don't always get it right on the first try.
And check out this example of an A+ prompt. This shows you exactly the level of detail we're talking about. You're not just saying, hey, build me a login page. Look at this. It specifies the Django REST API, the post request, the exact user fields, how to handle a specific error. It even names the Django version. This is the new language developers need to speak. But okay, let's be real for a second. This whole AI revolution isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's not a perfect utopia. It comes with some really unique, very modern challenges, and we absolutely have to talk about them. So first on the list is something people are calling AI fatigue. It's this weird mental exhaustion you get from having to review and fix just massive amounts of code that the AI spits out. It's kind of ironic, right? You're writing less, but you're actually getting more mentally drained because your job shifts from being a creator to being a constant, high-stakes fact-checker. And what makes that fatigue so much worse is the next big problem. And you gotta hear this quote from a developer because it's perfect. They said, sometimes AI hallucinates that a certain method or class exists, but ultimately you realize that method or class doesn't exist in that language or framework at all. Basically, the AI just makes stuff up. Yeah, that's what's known as an AI hallucination. It's when the AI model just confidently presents something that's totally false as if it's a fact. It'll invent a function that sounds totally plausible, but it's not real. And when you're talking about code, that's not just a minor mistake. That can be seriously dangerous. It can lead to code that's broken, insecure, or just doesn't work at all.
So, when you weigh the good and the bad, these amazing new opportunities and these tricky new challenges, what does the role of a programmer actually look like now? Well, it's clear they're not just code writers anymore. They've evolved into something much more strategic. They've become orchestrators.
And make no mistake, this isn't some niche little trend we're talking about. The CEO of Anthropic, that's the company that makes Claude, by the way, he predicts that pretty soon, something like 90% of all software code in the entire world will be generated by AI. I mean, that's how big this is expected to get. So this new role, let's call it an AI manager. It really boils down to four main jobs. First, you design the prompts. Second, you review and verify what the AI gives back. Third, you refine and improve it. And finally, you optimize it. You're still using all that deep technical knowledge, you're just applying it in a totally new way. Which brings us all the way back to that first big question we asked. Is the programmer obsolete? And the answer, after all of this, is a clear, definitive no. Not at all. Sure, the job of manually typing out every single line of code might be fading away, but the actual craft of programming hasn't died. It hasn't died. It's just evolved. In fact, those core skills of a great programmer, the problem solving, the logical thinking, they're more valuable now than they have ever been. They're just being pointed at a new, ridiculously powerful tool. So I want to leave you with this final thought. The future of programming, it's not about the boring, repetitive grind of writing the same code over and over again. It's about high-level strategy. It's about creative problem solving. It's about being the conductor of an orchestra of powerful AIs, building things we could only have dreamed of just a few years ago. And you've got to admit, that sounds like a way more interesting job, doesn't it?